The DOJ is a complete catastrophe right now. And under any other presidential administration, what has happened would trigger impeachment proceedings immediately. A seventh U.S. attorney has now quit the Department of Justice, and he wrote to the DOJ, I expect you will eventually find someone who is enough of a fool or enough of a coward to file your motion, but it was never going to be me. Please consider this my resignation. Yours truly, Hagen Scotton. Any other administration, if this was Joe Biden, Barack Obama, had Kamala Harris won, this would trigger impeachment proceedings immediately. 7 U.S. attorneys. And I want to remind everybody that typically DOJ, law enforcement lean Republican. I'm not saying everybody at the U.S. Attorney's Office is Republican. I'm sure there's some progressives, independents, liberals in there, but the majority, this is a very right-leaning, conservative profession that draws those types because they're, prosecuting people, throwing them in jail, et cetera. And this is just unbelievable.
Well, and it's unprecedented. This does not happen in normal administrations. 2 things. Number one, the Senate just confirmed a complete conspiracy theorist, non-scientist, guy that runs around planting dead bears in Central Park and whacking off whale heads as the secretary over health. They appointed someone who can't even who's on the known traveler, like no-fly list, who loves dictators. They appointed her to be the director of national intelligence. So if you're expecting me to think that any Senate Republican would come out against Trump now, it's just not going to happen because they're cowards and they do not care about America or their constituents. They care about pleasing Donald Trump because they don't want to lose their jobs. And you would think that there would be internal strife, like we've got a real problem, we've got to take care of it. These people do not care. They have no shame. And unfortunately, he's right. There will be somebody that lacks ethics and morals that is happy to do Donald Trump's bidding.
I want to remind everybody that the DOJ is supposed to be independent and completely independent and autonomous as an agency. And clearly, all Pam Bondi wants to do is go through Donald Trump's resentment list, his revenge tour, and she's going to help him execute that. And Democrats, I think some Democrats voted for her. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell every Senate Democrat from now until the end of times, whenever you have a Republican nominee in front of you, they will lie to you. The most controversial thing in their past that you asked them about, you asked Brett Kavanaugh about Roe, he lied. He said it was precedent. What'd they do? He overturned it. Pam Bondi, she said it would be independent. She wouldn't have help Trump with his revenge tour. She lied. They are lying liars. It pisses me off that Democrats even voted for this quack. She's a total quack and a total sycophant. Shifting gears here, speaking of quack sycophants, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, here he is talking about hard power on the national stage.
President Trump has said, but it's not enough. Nor is 3%, nor is 4%, more like 5%. Real investment, real urgency. We can talk all we want about values. Values are important. But you can't shoot values. You can't shoot flags, and you can't shoot strong speeches. There is no replacement for hard power. As much as we may not want to like the world we live in some cases, there's nothing like hard power.
Okay, this is humiliating. Yeah. Here he is on the national stage, and he's trying to belittle Europe. And this is this armchair blowhard bullshit where he's been hanging out on bro podcasts all during, his off time before he was appointed to this, in between Fox and this. This is an absolute embarrassment. It shows American weakness. You can't shoot a flag. That stuff doesn't translate on the national stage. Right. Yeah, that works on Fox News. Yeah, that works on Newsmax. Yeah, you can go on Joe Rogan and y'all can bro around about all that bullshit. That doesn't work on the national stage, particularly in Europe, where they value education a lot more than the MAGA party does. That is humiliating.
Oh, it's an embarrassment beyond. It's like he went straight from the Fox News couch to the world stage. What he doesn't realize is everybody in Europe outside of America, they know that Fox News is straight up propaganda and that this is all just complete and total BS. It's embarrassing right now to be from America where they're rolling out Pete Hegseths, who qualifications are paying off a woman for sex, going on Fox News, running 2 nonprofits into the ground, but now he's in charge of our military. Oh, and I forget, he's changed back. He's renamed naval and airstrip and, military bases back to the racist roots. I mean, it's so gross. And I would think outside the United States, they are appalled.
Okay, next up, we have Senator Roger Wicker, and he is starting to be troubled. He says GOP Senator Roger Wicker on Pete Hegseth's NATO speech, which you just heard some of, where he stated that Ukraine won't return to its pre-2014 borders and won't gain NATO membership. He says, I don't know who wrote the speech. It is the kind of thing Tucker Carlson could have written. And Carlson is a fool. Everybody knows, and people in the administration know, you don't say before your first meeting what you will agree to and what you won't agree to. Wicker told this to Politico that he was puzzled and disturbed. And here's what I have to say to the senator. Senator Wicker, I'm not puzzled and concerned. No. I could very easily, and I don't have the security clearance. I don't see the documents that you see, Senator Wicker. I just am out here in Oklahoma City, United States of America, and I could clearly see that Trump was compromised by Putin. I could clearly see that Trump was starting to surround himself with Putin sycophants. I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard. He hangs out with Tucker Carlson all the time. He's completely compromised. All these podcasters that Trump went on, they are all on Putin's payroll. This does not shock me that the United States' first speeches regarding the United States' position in the Ukraine situation is that they are recommending that the Ukraine cede land to Russia. You know why? Because that's a Putin talking point. And you know what Trump is surrounded with? A bunch of Putin people. And Putin has played the long game with this for 10 years. Every morning in Moscow, it is Christmas morning. Every single morning. We can all sit here and say, why are they doing this? I don't understand. Well, I guarantee you in Moscow, they know exactly. And when the Democrats got power back, they screwed up miserably. I remember one of Trump's very first meetings in the Oval Office. He had 2 Russian dignitaries that came in, and they dismissed everybody from the room with the exception of the interpreter. That interpreter, we should have found out exactly what happened. We should have found out exactly what went on. And there's a reason that they want to fire every single employee in the CIA. Why would they want to do that? I wonder why. Probably because the CIA knows exactly which Americans are fucking around with Russia and Putin. Every single one of them is 1 degree of separation or right in the Oval, in my opinion.
Well, and you look at his boyfriend, Elon Musk, the true president of the United States right now. I mean, he and Putin are on like a conquer the world tour. I mean, Elon Musk, without a doubt, is making all the decisions. Trump is just a useful idiot, which we've known this forever. And for this guy to come out and say, well, I'm puzzled and I didn't know, like Kamala Harris told us all this in her campaign. Like none of this is new information. Like shut the fuck up.
Hillary Clinton told us before Kamala.
Yes.
But let me just show you how we know for sure that Trump is a Putin asset. Listen to this.
Future in which Ukraine returns to its pre-2014 borders?
Well, I think Pete said today that that's unlikely, right? It certainly would seem to be unlikely. They took a lot of land, and they fought for that land and they lost a lot of soldiers. But it would just seem to me, and I'm not making an opinion on it, but I've read a lot on it, and a lot of people think that that's unlikely.
It cannot be overstated what a devastating blow to democracy and to American leadership that kind of statement is. It is everybody's worst fears coming right to fruition, and what we all pretty much knew, that he's on the payroll for Putin. Pumps just mentioned Musk having a bunch of secret phone conversations with Putin prior to winning this last election. This is really, really dangerous, because what we have right now are all of the world's autocrats forming together. And after World War II, it was all of the world's democracies. And so we're on the bad side now. And that's
Right.
just really hard to reconcile, having been, we're Americans, and everything that you believed in and that you were taught is just getting completely flipped upside down for that guy. We're going to throw it all away for him.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. All of these people that were Republicans voting for Reagan and Bush, it was because we want national security.
Yes.
And now they want to crawl in bed and snuggle with Putin, and Trump's not even hiding it. Well, they fought for it. They wanted it. Okay, so what you're telling me is I can go into Mar-a-Lago and I can go in and fight for it. And if you can't get me out of there, then it's mine. I mean, that's what he's saying. He's a dipshit.
Well, I mean, more than being a dipshit, these are all Russian talking points. Every single bit of this, exactly what Tulsi Gabbard says, what Pete Hegseth said. That's why the senator said this sounds like something Tucker Carlson wrote. And Trump saying in the Oval that Russia's going to keep some of that land is a complete shift in our position in helping Ukraine. And for those of you that haven't caught on, Putin won't stop at Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been trying to prevent. The next place he will go into is Poland. And that's why Europe watches this so closely, because they know and they value education, unlike half of the United States of stupidity. All right, stick with us for more uplifting news over the weekend.